Bruv, while you had a hit row, I had a hit list. Ooh, shots fired. And Dino Bravo is once again dead. Somehow. Ooh, shots fired. And Chris Adams is once again dead. But he was an abusive piece of shit. So good riddance. Glad Chris Adams has been gone for nearly 23 years. Chris Adams has nothing to do with this show, but I felt the need to say it again. I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite from the Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax. You ought to know by now. Yeah, Fairfax. Okay, screwed that up. Whatever. Let's just get into it. And we are nearing Forbidden Door, where everything's going to be busted down. They're going to bust through the forbidden back door and the side door where the dogs are in the enclosed pool area. Let's just move on from that. So 10,000 seat capacity, and according to WrestleTix, around 4,500 tickets distributed. I will say for the people that were there, I don't know what the final count is. That's the loudest the crowd has been in a mid-sized arena like that for a while. Also do want to say thank you guys very much for tuning into the most recent Collision review that I did. The first Collision review that I have done in about 4 months. No, it's not a return to form for me reviewing Collision, even though some of the talents do put on some good matches. I decided to review that because of Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo. Nevertheless, they were not on this show. A few things were on this show. One thing that wasn't on before the show was The Big Bang Theory. Now, I hate that show with a fiery passion, and I think that every single character in that goddamn show is atrocious. I have tried to watch that show. I've tried to watch that show multiple times. It's not funny. Whoever is involved in the laugh track obviously must be dead, or they must be held at gunpoint, because nobody can actually find that show funny. If you find that show funny, good for you. That's cool. I have nothing against you guys. I just don't understand how that show is funny. But The Big Bang Theory usually has a fairly decent lead-in, a fairly decent-sized audience, even in reruns. They had Black Panther playing just before Dynamite. I have not seen Black Panther in full. Yes, I know, Marvel superhero fans kill me in the comments. I'm not the biggest superhero fan, as it were. So, I hope that the ratings improve now that the NBA Finals are done, and now that the Dallas Mavericks went from being like the Von Erichs in 82 and 83, and they ended up like the Von Erichs now. So, let's just move on from that. Basically, it's going to be interesting to see if Dynamite spikes back up. I kind of hope they do, even though there are things on this particular program that could drive viewers away. One thing I think kept viewers was the beginning. It's MJF versus Roosh. Commercial free. The bell rang within 3 minutes, and this crowd was very, very up. MJF had them eating out of the palm of his ham. Steamed ham. So, then Roosh hit a headbutt. More like a hair butt. I think he just hairbutt. He just literally threw his hair at him. I don't want to get the hair rooshed all over me. Why am I having fun? I don't have a goddamn clue. So, middle fingers in the air. Because we don't care what the censors think. Hammerlock DDT for 2, and then a spike pile driver for 2. Belly to belly into the buckle. I have determined, by the way, that Roosh is just not somebody that I'm ever going to get into. I have tried to watch his matches. I've tried to give him a chance. It probably is terrifying for him to go out there and cut promos when English is his second language, and he seems like he believes in himself, and that's great. I just don't fucking get it with him, and I've seen enough of him to know I'm never going to get it. So, then at one point we get the barricade throwing, because he's got to do that in every damn match, even though it has never worked as far as getting the crowd interested. And then we get cable whipping while the referee is distracted by a chair that seemingly maybe gained sentience. I believe that's referee Paul Turner, who is a smart guy. You would think he would know better. But cable whipping and choking. Yeah, let's just not... Oh my god, they're dead. They're all dead. Belly to belly to the floor. MJF was giving Roosh way too much. And I know they had been building this. I get it. But he gave him way too much. Yes, it was commercial free. Yes, they had to keep the fans hooked. Eventually, he does hit the Heat Seeker and the Brainbuster. 1, 2, 3. MJF got the victory. That's good. The Gates of Agony are on the screen, or the Cage Gates of Agony with Hechicero, a.k.a. Viano, whatever number. That's what he reminds me of. He reminds me of a long-lost Viano brother. Anybody that gets that, you love WCW, the Cruiserweight division at least. So, according to the EVPs, It's going to be Hechicero against MJF. Seriously? I mean, it's nothing even against this Hechicero guy, but really? At Forbidden Door. But so the EVPs are just running roughshod. They make all these decisions and everything. And then you have Daniels on the other side being the interim EVP to be the funnel for Tony Khan. And mind you, you have the Bucks that can make all these decisions. They wanted to put Perry in make Perry the TNT champion. They couldn't, and all this stuff. And then he said the match at Forbidden Door can only be made official when Danielson or Khan make it official. So what is the point of this motherfucking power struggle bullshit? It is stupid. This is really, really bad. I don't have a problem with booing the Bucks. I'll boo the Bucks for the fact that their mother didn't bother to do the right thing, so we never had to see them on this goddamn planet. But I digress. They at least had some value for a little bit in AEW. They don't anymore. They fucking don't. For the people that like them, you're still going to cheer them. But they have driven more fans away from this goddamn show. But the whole point is this power struggle thing is stupid. It's really, really bad. Speaking of really bad, I felt really bad for Mark Briscoe because he's got to be with Dante Martin, who just looks lost, Kyle O'Reilly, who does not look like he either wants to be there or is necessarily in the best health, and Orange Cassidy. I'm going to say right now that if Orange Cassidy becomes AEW World Champion, whether it is this year or something, whenever he becomes AEW World Champion, that's it. I will not review AEW. I'm done. If for those that like him, great. He doesn't deserve it. He's not worthy of being the world champion. They have so many talents that could be the world champion. They could do a whole lot better, but Khan will likely make him the world champion. Watch MJF beat Will Ospreay and Wembley for the title. Watch him do that. And then watch Orange Cassidy beat MJF. Watch it happen to Wrestle Dream. I mean, I doubt it will, but watch that happen to Wrestle Dream. And then I'd be like, okay, let's just make sure that the Tacoma Dome is not left standing. That's my proclamation, by the way, because I've already given up on quite a bit of weekly wrestling just because I'm so burned out on stuff. And I've been watching it for going on nearly 40 years. I don't care if he can wrestle. It's a stupid gimmick. It has been rotten from the very beginning, the very first appearance that he had on AEW programming. But anyway, we have Will Ospreay and Swerve when he drives, and Swerve when he drives face-to-face. I'm not going to get into every single detail that they said, but the crowd was split. Ospreay said he's the best, like no one ever was. But Swerve says, I'm going to put you to the test, and I'm going to swerve because it's my cause. But then Will says, I've accomplished all this. And Swerve says, well, you beat Omega, but you had to cheat. Remember when Callis came out and stabbed Omega in the goddamn head with the screwdriver, or handed it to Ospreay so Ospreay could do the stabbing? Ospreay says, do you think I need Don Callis? I don't need the Don Callis family. And then we cut to the family being all upset. And then he says, Bravo, you had a hit row, I had a hit list. Now that was a good line. I'll admit that. Good job, Billy Goat. You managed to come up with one good line. What if that kill shot that you promised is just a few centimeters off? And then Will makes, what if they injure each other? What if I bust up the Tiger Driver 97? What if I injure you? What if I take away your legs, Will? Because I can act and do rap and everything, but wrestling is all you have. And then gets personal about, bringing up the wife and I think stepson, but, his son. You don't need blood to raise children as your own. But this business will eat you alive, and you'll have to sacrifice and give your regards to, your wife and child. I don't remember the names. I don't give a shit. Nana tried to play Peacekeeper before this, but oh no, they go nose to nose and no. Look, this was fine. It actually felt like a real wrestling program for a bit. The family is all upset. At least Trent's upset, probably because we all know what kind of shit he likes on Twitter, because he's a crackpot and deserves to be mocked. And the fact that his mother is more over, or her minivan is more over, her wrecked minivan is more over than Trent ever will be. So, we then have Cassidy, Briscoe, O'Reilly, and Dante against ZSJ, Fletcher, Takeshita, and Roderick Strong. ZSJ should beat Orange Cassidy at Forbidden Door. And this went through 2 breaks, and 16 minutes later, Cassidy pinned Strong. When they stop treating wrestling as a joke, I will pay attention to matches like this. I don't care about Strong either. I really don't care about anybody on the face side except Briscoe. I don't even really care about Dante Martin anymore. Jack Perry, by the way, who earlier had walked into the frame of the previous promo with Mark Briscoe, attacked Dante on the stage, and then Briscoe and Takeshita fought off, and ZSJ and Orange Cassidy were face to face. Apparently, Orange Cassidy was a choice for Zack Sabre Jr. He wanted to face him. Fine, good. Zack Sabre Jr. is a much better wrestler than Orange Cassidy could ever hope to be on his best day. But whatever. If it's Zack Sabre Jr.'s choice, it's his career, not mine. I'm just a fan. Mercedes is training and is still not good at promos. How many takes did they do? How many ever they did? They didn't do enough. Her and Stephanie Vaquer ought to be interesting. Look, Mercedes takes this seriously as far as taking the bumps and everything. And her frame, maybe not built necessarily for wrestling, but she can take the bumps. Good for her. So, the Acclaim's rap gets cut off by Okada, who does comedy stuff, and, I hit the wrong button, bitch. I hope Okada's having fun, I hope the checks are big, and I don't want to see him in anything anymore. I don't mind him being a heel, they're going to involve him with the Bucks and do all this stuff. I'm sure, again, he's having fun. This is bad television. This is one of the greatest of his generation. One of the greatest of the generation. One of the greatest of the last, 14 or so years. And this is the best they have for him. The Bucks took on the Acclaimed in an eliminator match with referee Rick Knox, so nothing was going to get accomplished. At one point, one Buck hit another Buck with the other belt. Or, I don't know who hit who. I don't really care. Whichever one had the bad dye job. I know I didn't narrow it down. Acclaim won in 14 minutes, so now they get another shot against the Bucks for the tag titles. You could have just given the titles back to the Acclaimed in a shock win and it wouldn't have meant shit. Joe and Hook, by the way, Hook, are looking for the Premier Athletes again. Why? Because why would we involve Samoa Joe, the former world champion, in anything good? Shibata and his new brain are operating the camera. And Shibata says, I will beat up all these sons of bitches, or whatever the hell he said, and yeah. Samoa Joe was world champion just about 3 months ago. 2 months ago. 2. Because Swerve wanted a Dynasty, right? And Dynasty, I don't think had officially happened yet. So, yeah, about 2 months ago, he was a world champion. Now look what the fuck he's doing. Him and Hook could be money. And Shibata, I don't have a problem with Shibata being used, but the thing... Shibata's a wrestler. I'm not saying that maybe Shibata's on board with this. Maybe Shibata doesn't give a shit because he can wrestle. This is not good. Contract signing. Mariah May is overseeing Mina Shirakawa and Tony Storm. And good God, what was Mina Shirakawa not wearing? My goodness, we want Mina. Oh boy, do we ever. Good Lord. Good Lord. Tony looked incredible as well, as you would expect. And basically, I'm not going to get into every little bit of detail here, but Mariah said, I love you both. Mina says, Tony, you got soft, weak. I'll take your title and your girl. And she tells her, Mariah, she's going to have to choose. Tony basically compares herself to a buffet because Mina said that nobody wanted Tony. Get a bowl and line up. What kind of match are we exactly going to see, and why am I very, very interested? So, Mariah must choose. Saraya then shows up, or Saraya, whatever, with Harley. And they didn't come alone. Anna Jay is involved in this group. Anna Jay, who they pretty much have just given up on her because you've got to be kidding me. They're involving her with Saraya. Harley's a lost cause. But we get a table set up, and then the shoe got involved. They looked like they were going to put Mariah through it, and then they got Saraya out of the way, and Tony took wood from behind. See, Saraya couldn't have because she's used to getting wood from both sides. I would feel bad about saying that, except Saraya is always making bad choices as far as the guy she dates, and take a look at who she's dating right now. So, yeah, you pretty much are asking for every bit of ridicule, and it's kind of what you deserve. But they really think that this is a good idea. We're getting a 6-woman tag either on Collision, I don't know if it's been made official or not, or Dynamite, just before the pay-per-view. Which, by the way, I mean, technically, since I'm recording this in the wee hours of Thursday, is actually 10 days away. So, yeah, that was something. Package on Pac and Claudio says, let's not do it for this, let's do it for wrestling. Statlander took on Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose got a pretty good pop. This is the first Dynamite appearance for Nyla Rose, I think, since the Eisenhower administration. Which I know wrestling wasn't on anything except network television back in the Eisenhower administration, but fuck off. So, she got a big reaction, and this match was alright. I'm glad to see Nyla back on TV. The Oklahoma, the Oklahoma board that basically went after trans athletes and everything, everybody on that goddamn board deserves to be ridiculed and basically picketed outside their goddamn house for saying that trans people can't be who they are. Fucking backwoodsy goddamn state. If you're from Oklahoma and you support that stuff, there's something wrong with you. Anyway, so yeah, Tombstone for 3. That was kind of impressive. The match really wasn't much of anything. Willow interrupts Stokely. That's like saying to a kid, you have to go to bed without your supper. She's advancing, hopefully soon. Jericho interrupts Private Party. Daniel Garcia beat up Red Titus and beat him, and then the Gates of Agony show up. They beat up Matt Menard, not too much for my liking because he's still allowed on commentary to ruin commentary. I can't watch a Daniel Garcia match in full because Menard is terrible. And I can only mute the commentary so goddamn much because I have to hear the goddamn wrestlers hit each other or not hit each other. I have to hear the people also. MJF then shows up, and Cage is an idiot, but that's nothing new. And, yeah, it looks like MJF's getting beaten down, and here's Will Ospreay all of a sudden. Why? Because after taking people out, he teases a match with MJF, and also we have to set up Cage versus Ospreay for Collision, which is being taped, apparently. So I don't really think I'm going to bother watching Collision this week. I think I have something to do. Movies or something. I have a lot of movies on my goddamn Amazon queue that I have to get to. Ospreay versus MJF in Wembley, I'm all for that, in all honesty. I think it'll be a pretty damn good match. See ya, Swerve. We're just going to forget about you being champion. Backstage, Cage and Ospreay get in an argument. Claudio and Pac have a match. Owen Hart's Cup quarterfinal match. By the way, that's what Statlander and Nyla were. That's what their match was. Look, we're having a massive overrun here. The overrun went like 9 minutes. This show didn't need an overrun. You could have cut things. You could have just cut certain things down, cut a couple minutes off a couple of the matches, like the Bucks and the Acclaimed, and whatever. I'm sorry. You don't need to have overruns, especially on shows that don't need them. And also just advertise it. Just say 10-minute overrun. My DVR records it, but just do a 10-minute overrun, and then if you don't use all of it, whatever. They go right to the program. So anyway, Danielson was on commentary. They did athletic shit. Claudio hurt his hip. I'm sure the ratings dipped, and Pac got Claudio's shoulders to fit onto the mat for 3. Did that rhyme? No. Claudio would not shake his hand. No, Claudio, don't turn to the dark side. Remain neutral. You're Swiss. I didn't mind the match. I don't know why it was the main event, tournament match or not. Whatever. Let's just get rid of that right there. It was what it was. So yes, I will be reviewing Forbidden Door, but I gotta be honest. If they don't get their pay-per-views on a streaming service where you pay just a little bit of an extra price along with the price of the streaming service, after this year, it's going to get very difficult for me to justify spending $50 multiple times for these pay-per-views. Nevertheless, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.